Hello. So I thought I would do a live video. Let me see if I need to clean my screen. My camera. There you go. And, excuse me. Today is Friday. I am working today. I am not at the moment, obviously. My face is not swollen at the moment, like, at all. This is what it's supposed to look like. Anyways, delivering is going okay. So that's awesome. The police were out really crazy yesterday. It was really different being a delivery driver and not, like, working with other people. I mean, you know, I have people around and stuff, but, like, and I talk to people, you know, the entire time I work, like, in the restaurants and customers and other people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing. But I have to be in a lot of businesses at once, I guess that's what it feels like. Because I'm still kind of like making, like, training, I guess you could say, and getting used to it. And so, like, I feel like I'm like this the entire time I'm driving, like a bat. So it can get a little, driving for a long time makes you tired a little bit. And I definitely am trying to stay focused, as like super focused while I'm driving, as I can, because I'm a little freaked out by the idea of you know, being in a car for so long, or, you know, being in a car without having a car for as long as I did. You know, it in life, you know, would seem like one of the most simplest things to be just like jump back on it and be like, okay, and stuff. But shit really bothered me. Like, it really bothered me that, you know, nobody was here. That, you know, nobody's, like, it still bothers me, but it really bothers me that my family let me sit here for a year and a half and, you know, without trying to figure something out. You know, like, I think it's pretty fucked up. They know my medical situations and stuff. It's one of those things where it's like, nobody even talked to me about it, you know, like, what I was going through or anything. And, it's not a situation, that, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of really, like, stupid shit, so it makes me not so happy that people are so emotionally immature. That has been a situation since I was a little kid. Like, I was born into that situation. It is not a me problem. It's not something where I'm like, y'all are emotionally immature, you know, like, it's a permanent thing, but at the same time, it's one of those things that's like, do you not want to, like, what part of life are you not, like, getting, you know, and to have to say that and feel that about people that, you know, to put it bluntly, are on their way out the door is like, I don't know. It's like, if everybody has ADHD, then why are people still alive? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If nobody has anybody that cares about them, you know, like, if nobody has any family, then why are people still alive? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, there's obviously somebody doing something. And there ain't no part of that that is logical. It makes absolutely no logical sense for anybody that's been in my life to not, you know, have shown up during all that. And so that is a little depressing. I think that it mostly has to do with people being like, ooh, huge hypocrites. So I just, like, I had to spend a lot of time around, you know, and where somebody was like, in certain situations, you know, green was green, but in other situations, green was red. So, I don't know. Just all of that, like, you really can't. I'm one of those people, the way my mind works, that I am super logical and caring, you know, about stuff that I want to be about, you know, but, like, at the end of the day, you know, like, I hear you when, like, you know, there isn't a reason for me to be around, anymore. And even if you go back and are like, no, you know, and, like, try to back up to, like, a point where, you know, like, you needed me around and stuff, it's like, you really can't undo that. Like, no action is also an action. So that is also, no answer is also an answer. So, sometimes we have to figure out what that answer is, but still, I had a spot on my nail that was bothering me. It is a very, very long week for some reason. This week felt like a month. It's pretty incredible, actually. really have a ton to say today. I just, it's about to start getting warmer. And, I hope everything stays calm. I hope I can stay, like, I actually feel completely, like, okay today. The exercise has been helping me tremendously. Honestly, like, after, like, getting out and talking to some people and spending some time walking around and doing work, after a couple hours, I start feeling a lot better, like a lot more to myself and stuff. So I just have to pay attention to my picking at myself and stuff, and it gets is one thing about doing the work that I do that makes it a little weird is that I have a lot of time to, like, unconsciously pick at my hands and stuff, and so I have to really pay attention to make sure I don't do that. The other day, I, like, usually is, like, right in here and stuff, but, like, when I got off work, both of my hands were hurting. I was like, what the fuck? It's been not, like, I haven't been, like, biting my nails or anything. I haven't really bit my nails in a very long time, but I did have a problem in 2020 where I took my thumbnails off. So, yeah. But, back to what I was talking about is, like, if somebody, like, really is not in touch with, like, the full scope of, like, you know, or accept that they're in denial, if they just don't give a shit about, like, being in touch with reality and stuff, you know, then, like, I mean, that stuff doesn't just go away. Like, you make your own decisions and whatnot, and, like, you know, nobody can tell you, like, you need to stop, you know, you need to pay more attention to your kids than you do your crossword puzzles or whatever, or, like, counting, your steps or whatever it is that you're doing. So, you know, people think that you get to choose, like, who your kids are and who they aren't. Like, I heard my grandpa, tell my grandmother one time that my dad was like, that me and my brother were not his kids. And my dad, for one, was bipolar. Whether it was because I'm not a doctor, so I'm just describing, like, what his, he was bipolar, whether it was because of the drugs he was on is a complication, or whether he was like that beforehand is not known. He had diabetes. He had heart problems. He had, like, bypasses and stuff like that. So, with all that stuff, like, I mean, I have other problems, so I'm really sensitive to shit, but, like, if he, that's really in base, he had stuff in him, that was, like, moving and working, rather than, like, a plate in your hip or something like that, he had things to keep his blood circulating and stuff. So, I mean, like, you know, that's kind of traumatic. But he was way worse before he had those health problems. So, like he was treated me worse. Like, he talked, like, he treated us like animals and stuff. Like, when I was a little kid, like, I was not his daughter. Like, he treated me like I was an animal. So, like, I don't know. I guess, like, at some point when I was a little kid or something, or maybe, like, when my mom left and, came back and stuff, and they tried to work it out because my mom left on my first birthday. And it was because of my dad, like, because of what he was doing. And I don't know, because, like, obviously, you know, I was 1 year old and I have Tourette's. So, you know, there's absolutely no freaking idea. You know, and I have a mentally and physically disabled sister. So this is right when I probably started showing Tourette symptoms, because I was thinking, and I was like, you know, like, I had Tourette symptoms, like, pretty immediately. Like, definitely before 2 years old, like, very obvious Tourette symptoms. And also communication symptoms, like disorder symptoms. And so, like, my dad, like, he never once, like, he literally treated me like a dog. Like, that was his to follow him and stuff. He talked down to me, get out of the way. Like, he didn't discuss things with me. He talked to me like I was a 60-year-old person. Like, I knew what I was talking about when I was, like, a tiny little bitty kid. So, when we got older, I mean, you know, I love my dad. I talked to him. He was an intelligent man and stuff, but, like, he's crazy, you know? And so I always treated him and talked to him like he was who he was, a crazy person. You know, we didn't fight and argue and stuff like that, but, like, when he, you know, I'd just listen to him. Like, you know, you couldn't argue with him a whole lot, or like Chip did, but he also didn't treat Chip as badly as he treated me. Like, he made it very obvious that, like, he had women issues and stuff, like, and didn't like women and females, and he was very much a misogynist. He definitely, like, wanted to be like that. Like, he, taught my brother to be like that. You know, he would say stuff on paper, but at the same time, like, you know, he would just do stuff, like, that was outside of, like, what he was, you know, like, fighting stuff. And so, you know, I can honestly say that, like, you know, my brother's never balled his fist up and fucking punched me, or you know, or slapped me. He's done a lot of really fucked up shit, but, like, he's never taken it upon himself to do that. Like, he's never, you know, done that. And Dad definitely did that to both of us multiple times, like, throughout our life. So he definitely did not want us around. He definitely, you know, looked at us as if, like, we were not his kids and stuff. Like, he was batshit insane. And, like, you know, for anybody to, like, miss him over me, is kind of fucked up. That is, you know, not a situation that, is positive for me in any sense. Like there is no way, like, that something, like, somebody like that can continue. Like, that's not healthy. That is, like, you know, hurting yourself. Like, my dad couldn't have continued to live like he was living. Nobody can. So that is part of, like, being in denial. Like, you know, if you know that doing something is gonna kill you in a couple days and you go do it, you know, repeatedly over and over and over again, like, until you die, like, you know, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and to say at the same time that, like, you're not wanting to, like, you know, that for that to happen. You know, it was different if he was like, I'm making this decision and I'm ending my life, you know, but, like, there was a big disconnect. He was definitely, you know, I was talking to somebody several months ago, about eating disorders, and I was like, yeah, my dad had an eating disorder. That's ultimately what killed him, was an eating disorder. And I used to have an eating disorder for a very short period of time. Actually, it got worse before it got better. I had an eating disorder from the time I was born up until I was like 25. The worst part of it, and I say the worst part of it because, ow, my hand. The part that actually has to do with the food and the physical part, not the mental part. The mental part was worse as a small child, but the physical part of it was worse as an adult because it went the other way, where I wouldn't eat, like I didn't eat as a kid. I, as an adult, just sat down and started eating and mindlessly. But I also have hypoglycemia or glycemia, and that is like I literally have like medical disorders that make my senses a little dull. That I have a literal physical reason to having an eating disorder. And once I became aware, you know, of a little bit more of what was going on and how it wasn't like beneficial to my health and stuff, I stopped, you know, like I figured it out and, you know, got all that, you know, my health has been fine since until I started having seizures. And then everything reads weird now, or did. Everything's back okay again though, so no more anemia. But I had to watch through the last years about the eating disorder because it was on the table. Another thing is my dad had like a mental illness type eating disorder, to where like he would hide and eat. And when you're like that, like there's way more of a situation than just like, you know, fuck my problem, like, than other people. You know, some people, like, that, I mean, that's how they live their lives, is they have an eating disorder. Like, it's an actual full disorder. But my dad, he looked like he never ate. You would never see him eat, but he would go and hide and eat. I've seen other men do that, to where they'll go and get themselves a whole bunch of food so they don't have to worry about feeding anybody else. So that is the reason why my dad is no longer with us, because he had a severe eating disorder. Is really what that is. It caused him, the eating disorder caused him to be bipolar. It caused all his health problems. So, like, he didn't drink or anything. He didn't like being intoxicated. But he was on a ton of fucking medication. And of course, like, when you're at that point, of course I didn't know that then, but now I know, he's like 45, taking a handful of medications, and didn't have any kind of, like, he had diabetes and stuff. When he was diagnosed with cancer, they said that his diabetes was in remission, that his body was in that good of health. But the thing is that he'd been eating God knows what throughout those years leading up to that. And I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about, like, medications. Like, there's no telling what kind of crazy medications he was taking, because he told me that he was taking guinea pig medicine, that he was trying stuff out and stuff. And I remember sitting and watching him and whatnot, and he didn't take shots, like, for his diabetes or anything. His heart, like, he worked and stayed moving every single day. There's no reason why, like, he didn't really have, like, any major heart problems. So he just really didn't take care of himself, like I said, and had a bad eating problem. So he did not make it through his cancer. So for someone to be like, I miss him and stuff, I mean, like, I kind of wonder, I'm like, what do you miss? But at the same time, it's my grandpa, so it's like, of course, somebody's gonna miss their son. But I am not God. I don't know, all the ins and outs of stories and stuff like that. So I really don't know why. People, I guess, they just don't have any use for me. There's nothing I can help them with, kind of thing. So that is not how I live my life. But I am going to end this video for now. Finish working on my nails and focusing before I go and do stuff, get stuff taken care of for today. Like I said yesterday, I think it is grass cutting time. So, fun times. I hope everybody has a super great Friday. The weather's pretty decent. It's not anything crazy, so that's awesome. I'm tired. I want to go back to sleep, but it's Friday. I have to work, and it's, it is what it is. So, I hope everybody has a really excellent Friday and also a good weekend.